All right, let's jump right in. Whenever we talk about AI, the conversation usually goes to one of two places, right? It's either a robot apocalypse where we all lose our jobs, or some kind of utopia where we never have to work again. But today, we're going to tune out all that noise. We're going to look at something much quieter, a change happening just beneath the surface, a fundamental shift in how we learn to be good at anything. So I want you to really think about this question for a second. What if the real game changer here isn't about AI replacing us, but about it replacing the process that creates experts? This isn't about the end of work. It's about the potential crumbling of the path to mastery, the very ladder that generations have climbed to get good at their jobs.
And you can see the contrast right here. On one side, you have the loud debate, the stuff you see in headlines. Robots, utopia, good AI versus evil AI. But the quiet disruption, that's the real story. It's happening in millions of small decisions. A manager automating a task, a company deciding not to hire an intern. It's not about some grand plan. It's about slow, unintended consequences.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with how experts were made in the first place, then see how AI is creating this sneaky shortcut. After that, we'll look at the problem of the missing entry-level jobs, and finally, we'll think about what this all means for the future.
So to really get what's changing, we first have to understand the old system, the way it's worked for centuries. Think of it like a ladder. Every profession, from carpentry to law, had one, and pretty much everyone had to climb it, rung by rung.
And this is that classic model. You start out as a novice, right at the bottom doing all the grunt work, the boring, repetitive stuff. Then you become an apprentice, where you actually learn by doing, making little mistakes that a mentor helps you fix. Over time, you graduate to a journeyman. You're good, you can work on your own. And then finally, after thousands and thousands of hours, you become an expert. The most important thing to remember is that every single step, especially the boring ones, was building your judgment.
And that's really the whole point of the ladder. It's not about just learning facts from a book. It's about developing something the ancient Greeks had a great word for, phronesis, or practical wisdom. It's that gut feeling a veteran firefighter has, or the way an experienced mechanic can diagnose a problem just by the sound of an engine. That's phronesis. It's the stuff you can't Google. You have to earn it through experience.
Okay, so that was the old way. Now, let's bring in AI. It doesn't show up looking like a bad guy. It shows up as a tool, a shortcut, promising the one thing every modern business craves: efficiency.
So, for totally understandable reasons, businesses are starting to use AI for all those tedious, entry-level jobs. Summarizing reports, drafting emails, reviewing documents. The AI can do it in seconds, for a fraction of the cost of a human intern. If you're looking at a quarterly report, making that switch isn't just a smart move, it's practically a no-brainer.
And this right here is the absolute core of the problem. There's a huge difference between doing the work and understanding the work. AI is incredible at the doing, the tasks. But the understanding, the judgment, the pattern recognition, that only comes from a human actually struggling through those tasks. So when we automate the doing, we accidentally starve ourselves of the experience we need for understanding.
Which brings us to the first real, visible crack in the system. The on-ramps to a career, the places where you get your start, are beginning to disappear. It's like those bottom rungs of the learning ladder are being quietly sawed off, one by one.
A perfect example, the canary in the coal mine, is law firms. For decades, young lawyers learned the job by doing endless, mind-numbing document review. But now AI can do that in a fraction of the time. So why hire a junior associate? But then you have to ask the next question. If you stop hiring them today, where will your senior partners in 2040 come from? And this isn't just about law. It's happening everywhere. Accounting, writing, coding, any job that used to start with foundational repetitive tasks.
Now, this is so important to get. This isn't about big, flashy headlines of mass layoffs. This is the sound of silence. It's the job that never gets posted, the internship that doesn't get created. It's a slow, invisible erosion of the talent pipeline. Imagine a forest where all the old, tall trees are still standing, but no new saplings are growing. For a while, it looks perfectly fine, but it has secretly lost the ability to regenerate itself.
And that's the scary part. You don't feel the pain from this right away. It's like a debt that you rack up, and the bill only comes due years down the road. And when it does, it could create this deep fragility in our systems, where we realize we kind of forgot how to create experts.
What you're seeing here is a dangerous feedback loop, a downward spiral you could call institutional atrophy. Just follow it. A company uses more AI, so it hires fewer apprentices. That weakens the talent pipeline. So in a few years, they have fewer experts. Well, with fewer experts, what do? They have to rely on AI even more, which means they hire even fewer apprentices. See the cycle? Each step makes perfect sense on its own, but together, they lead to an organization that has forgotten how to grow its own talent.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. No single company that automates an entry-level job is wrong. From their perspective, it's a perfectly logical, rational decision. But when thousands of companies all make that same logical decision, the collective result is a system that becomes fragile. We get an economy that's incredibly efficient in the short term, but might be losing its ability to generate real human wisdom for the long term.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's a bit heavy, I know. So what on earth do we do about it? Well, the answer isn't to go back in time or to try and stop technology. That's a fool's errand. The real path forward is about being much, much more intentional about how we use these amazing new tools.
And the key idea is this concept of intentional friction. We spend all our time trying to make things frictionless and seamless, right? But what if that friction was actually the thing that helped us learn? If AI is removing all the useful struggle, we have to find ways to consciously put it back in. Maybe that means new types of apprenticeships, where a young employee's job is to double-check the AI's work and learn to spot its errors. Maybe it means we sometimes assign a task to a person specifically so they can learn, even if it's slower. We have to start seeing training not as a cost, but as a critical outcome in itself.
And really, this is the fundamental choice that we are all facing, as individuals, as companies, as a society. This is the big question. Are we willing to trade away our long-term ability to cultivate competence and wisdom for the immediate, easy-to-measure benefits of short-term efficiency?
I think this quote from the source material really says it all. We are getting incredibly good at building tools that are fast, blazingly fast. They can give us answers instantly. But our challenge isn't to be faster. Our challenge is to be wiser, to have the judgment to ask the right questions in the first place, and to know what to do with the answers AI gives us.
Now, what we've talked about today is really just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. So if this has got you thinking, and you're curious about how this collapse of the learning ladder connects to other major shifts happening under the radar, the topic is explored in way more detail in the book, The Quiet Disruption. For anyone who wants to go deeper, it's available on Amazon.